Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Age only matters when you're cheese, Chaos Kids. I'm Amber.
And I'm Naomi. And this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos.
It is.
Oh my
God. Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
What are the God? Our computers listen to us because that's the first thing that popped up. You know. Mm-hmm.
What did you search for?
I typed in funny things and then it was like to say ? And then it was like cheese. I was like, yes, thank you, the Google. Thank you.
You talk about cheese a lot, is what you're saying?
Michael randomly, when it has nothing to do with anything, will just be like, I love cheese. Like, okay, honey. He just wants me to know that several times a day.
You know, it's like
I know. I love riding in cars. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh God.
Oh my God. What's going on with this?
Oh, thank you. You know, it's just another Manic Monday today, and there's not a whole lot. You and I are packing in the recordings because we both have out of town stuff coming up. So, which always throws me off a little bit because then we're like talking about things that are relevant now, and it'll be like way in the past by the time this drops, and it's like whatever.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The downside of recording well in advance.
Yeah, that's all right though. I don't even know what episode we're on because we did too many and I'm just lost.
You know what? It's just numbers. It's just numbers. It's not.
That's right.
It's not important.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the content, you know?
That's right, sister. That's right. What's going on with you?
You know, not a whole lot. I'm just kind of, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
You're doing great.
You know what? I'm breathing in and out, as they say, you know?
Oh, I do know.
This side of the grass. I'm on this side of the grass, so it's fine. It's fine.
Oh my gosh, sister.
What are you drinking?
Thank you for asking. I'm drinking Merlot from Ghazali Estate.
Ew.
Well
then, you best raise a pinky when you sip from that glass.
Oh, Oh, sister, do you have some crime?
I mean, I do. I do. I do have some crime. It's a bit of a doozy. It ended up being way more than I had bargained for. I bit off more than I thought, almost more than I could chew today. I'm going to tell you about, this is a local crime.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a local crime. So in early morning hours of October 28th, 1994, a newspaper carrier discovered a gruesome scene. 2 bodies on the ground on a dead-end street in a neighborhood of Renton, Washington.
Whoa.
So for our not Western Washington listeners, we've talked about Renton before. Renton is a city just south of Bellevue, kind of little inland from the Sound and Seattle. It was a young woman and a toddler boy.
Oh, God.
Both shot in the head. Their bodies were laying next to a brown Buick. Amongst dozens of items scattered around the car were their shoes, 3 white buttons, a brown glove, and coiled up strips of packing tape. The call came into police just after 3:30 a.m. and a patrol officer arrived and started taking pictures while waiting for detectives. And it started to rain, so he and another officer who had also arrived on the scene pulled a tarp over the bodies and part of the car. The first detective on the scene arrived at 5:15 a.m., Greg Wilson, and Bob arrived a little bit later. Neighbors nearby told officers that they had heard gunshots and a woman scream around 2:11 a.m., but they went back to sleep and they just thought it was teenagers.
Oh my God, people know. When you hear someone scream and then there's gunshots.
Right?
God.
At the scene, police collected dozens of items of evidence, including shell casings inside and outside the car and car keys between the driver's seat and the door. Detectives noticed that while both the woman and the little boy were shoeless, the boy's socks were clean while the woman's were caked with mud and leaves. The woman had a significant head wound as well as bruises around her neck and arms. And a grassy patch next to the passenger side of the car looked to be trampled. Detective Wilson inferred that likely what had happened was the woman had been bound with the packing tape found outside the car, that she had likely wriggled herself free, tried to run, struggled with her killer on the trampled patch of grass, and then managed to get back into the driver's seat of the car. She may have very well been holding the boy when she was shot from the passenger side of the car. Later autopsies would reveal that the bullet that hit the boy passed through him into the woman's shoulder.
Oh.
And then the killer likely came around to the driver's side and shot the woman and pulled their bodies out of the car to search for the car keys. And when he didn't find them, fled on foot.
Oh, shit. I also never, first off, people, I think, exaggerate a little bit how much it rains in Seattle, but I've never thought about needing to be prepared to preserve a crime scene that's outside. That was smart thinking to grab a tarp, but like all your evidence will just get washed away.
That's right.
Fuck.
That's right.
Wow.
There didn't appear to be an obvious motive. The woman had not been sexually assaulted, and her purse and jewelry were still at the scene. The wallet in the purse identified the woman as Stacy Falcon-Dewey, hyphenated. Her home address was only a few minutes away, and the little boy was her 3-year-old son, Jacob.
Oh, 3.
Mm-hmm. Stacy grew up with her mom and her older half-brother, Byron. Stacy's dad, who worked as a horse trainer's assistant at Long Acres, the local thoroughbred racing track, had abandoned the family when Stacy was about 6 months old. Stacy's mom, Vianne, raised Stacy and her brother on her own. Vianne worked waitressing jobs, usually night shifts. She kept them fed and a roof over their heads, but times were always pretty tight.
Yeah.
Stacy was a shy kid and not the best student, but she blossomed into a bubbly teen who made friends easily at Renton Alternative High School and never seemed to lack attention from boys. Stacy was always really close with her aunt, Vianne's sister, Frankie. At the time of Stacy and Jacob's murder, Vianne lived down in South Bend, and I think Frankie was in Raymond. So this is all like southwest of Auburn, like getting closer to the coast.
These are great names, by the way. Vianne and Frankie.
Vianne and Frankie. Yeah, totally. And whenever Stacy made the drive down to visit Vianne, she would stop and visit Frankie first. And 5 days prior to Stacy's murder, she and Jacob and her boyfriend at the time, Rich Muska, had been down to visit. It was Stacy's 23rd birthday, and they all had a great day together.
God,
and
23.
Vianne was feeling really good about where Stacy was at in her life. Stacy was cocktail waitressing at HD Hotspurs, and she was taking good care of Jacob. She had split from her husband, Jacob's dad, John Dewey, about 2 years prior. Jacob was Stacy's brother Byron's friend who had spent his senior year living with the Falcon family. Stacy and John were living in California as newlyweds when Jacob was born. Dewey worked his first stint as a Boeing structures mechanic, and then they moved back to Washington. But after Dewey was laid off, the relationship fell apart and the two split. But Stacy was figuring it out. And this Rich Muska guy seemed like a decent guy too. So, Stacy had her own place, but it sounds like she and Jacob also stayed with Muska off and on. So detectives went to Stacy's apartment and found nothing out of the ordinary.
Everything as it should be. Understood.
Just like it was when they were there the night before for dinner.
God.
Right? And of course, they found out about the boyfriend and the ex-husband, and they went to question them both immediately. Both men were in their early 20s, and both agreed to talk and take lie detector tests.
And drink the truth serum.
That's right. and do a remote viewing. Anyway, the results of the tests were inconclusive, but both had alibis that the police found believable. The ex-husband, Dewey, said he'd been out drinking with a friend, then came home to shoot some pool with his roommate before passing out. When asked who might want to hurt Stacy, Dewey threw out the name of some local pot dealer, but he was really just grabbing at straws. He couldn't think of anyone that would really want to hurt Stacy. The cops really pressed him. Later, he would say, quote, "They just kept working on me. I was telling them all I could tell them. I was devastated." The boyfriend, Muska, told police that Stacy had gone out with friends on her night off from work while he hung out at a local bar near her apartment. He went to Stacy's place and crashed there, planning to meet her when she returned home that night, but she and Jacob never showed. He got a phone call from his roommate that woke him up later that morning. Quote, "He told me they'd gotten killed. The first thing that went through my mind was a car accident. I beelined back to my house."
So she's out, but she's got her baby with her?
Well, no, the Jacob is at a babysitter's.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to that later. The timeline comes in here shortly. There was another suspect that popped up shortly before the bodies were found. A young man wearing a bloodstained shirt showed up high on angel dust.
What?
And out of control in the emergency room at Valley Medical Center, just 12 blocks from the crime scene. Police requested the hospital to keep the man's clothes. They later wrote up a warrant, and after he left the hospital, they followed him to a grocery store and arrested him. The man explained that he'd been in a fight with a girlfriend, and police found that alibi checked out, and that lead went dead. And then police put together the timeline. Stacy had dropped Jacob off at the babysitter's apartment and arrived at HD Hotspurs at about 9:30 p.m. So yeah, she went to her work on her night off.
Oh, God, love it.
I know. She was there with friends for about an hour and then went to 2 more clubs in Auburn, leaving the second one at about 1 a.m. to go pick up Jacob. She stopped on the way to buy beef jerky at 7-Eleven, where surveillance video captured her with an unidentified white male at about 1:20 a.m.
That's odd. Okay.
15 minutes later, Stacy arrived at the Kenton Ridge Apartments where she picked up Jacob from the babysitter, Janelle Inquist. The apartments where Janelle lived were the apartments that Stacy used to live in, but there'd been some crime going on there that made Stacy feel unsafe. So Muska had encouraged her to move in with him until she could find a different place. But Janelle was still the person she relied on for babysitting. So Janelle said that Stacy was her normal self that night. She said Stacy seemed really happy with her life and with Muska, and that Jacob was her whole world. She would never intentionally put him in danger. So it was around 1:45 a.m. that Stacy left with Jacob, and that was the last she was seen before both their bodies were found a few hours later.
So, sorry, was 7-Eleven after she picked up Jacob?
It was before. It was after she left the club, but before she picked up Jacob.
So did her babysitter see this white guy?
No.
White male?
No.
Okay.
So apparently Stacy had a cell phone in 1994.
Wow. Baller.
I know. And it was found at the crime scene. The records for the phone showed she had received a call just hours before her death from a number that was traced to a 27-year-old man in Des Moines. That's in Washington State, you guys. There's a Des Moines in Washington State, named Scott Holm. Holm volunteered to speak with the police. He told them he was home with his wife in Des Moines at the time Stacy and Jacob were killed. He admitted he had cheated on his wife with Stacy. He dated Stacy casually after meeting her at her place of work when she waited on his table a few months earlier.
Okay.
Holm was taking an early morning class at the Green River Community College, carpooling with a friend, and his alibi seemed to check out. But then the detectives heard a rumor that Holm had left Stacy a $100 tip when she waited on him. And later, after he and Stacy dated, mid-1994, he took her boating and showered her with gifts. Maybe that's where the cell phone came from?
Oh, yeah.
And the detectives couldn't figure out where Holm would get the kind of money needed to do that while he was working at a grocery store and running a car detailing business on the side with his brother. you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
So they suspected he might be a drug dealer too.
Sure.
So Stacy stopped dating Holm after she found out that he was married because he did not tell her that up front.
Yeah.
But they did maintain a friendship of some sort after they split.
Mm-hmm.
Detectives are still kind of side-eyeing Holm at this point. They wanted to really check out his alibi some more and make sure it was actually tight. And then another dead body showed up.
Holy shit.
This time in Tacoma. The
Wow.
victim had been choked and repeatedly stabbed, then wrapped in blankets and left in the back of an abandoned pickup truck.
Oh.
The dead man was Scott Holm.
Whoa. This sounds like, well, I don't want to speculate. Sounds like this could be the boyfriend.
So Scott Holm had a twin brother named Mark.
God, plot twist. What?
And Mark told detectives that the day before Holm had been found dead, Mark had seen him, and Holm was headed off to go collect a debt of $1,000 from his weightlifting buddy, Vince Fields.
Okay.
So I didn't write this down, but the gist of it was that they had this car detailing business, Mark and Scott, right? They had this car detailing business, and they had installed like 4 subwoofers in this guy's car, in Vince Fields' car. I'm like, that's a lot. And he had not paid them. So Mark basically told Scott, go get our money or our subwoofers back. So phone records show that Holm had called Fields 3 times on the day that he was last seen alive. Holm had also racked up more than $2,000 in charges at a furniture store on his Visa card, as well as other stores, after his body had turned up dead.
Oh.
Right. Store employees identified Fields as the man who had made the purchases.
Mm-hmm. I see.
On November 17th, 1994, police arrested Fields, and he denied killing Holm initially. But an interview with his girlfriend, a search of their home, further investigation, turned up enough evidence to indicate that Fields had indeed killed Holm. 2 months before his trial was set to commence, Fields and his lawyers changed their strategy, and they claimed that Fields had killed Holm, but in self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Fields said. He said that he and Holm were in business together selling marijuana. He said that Holm told him that detectives had questioned him about a woman's death in Renton. Holm supposedly said that she was threatening him to end his marriage and be with her, or she would tell the police about the marijuana operation. And apparently, Holm told Fields that he did what he had to do to protect himself and that he cleaned her clock.
Okay. God,
so
this is getting complicated. Fuck.
I know. So now Fields claims that because that Holm has told him this, he is now afraid of Holm. And when Holm showed up demanding money for his part in their drug operation and pulling a gun on Fields, Fields struggled with Holm. The gun went off, and so then Fields grabbed a kitchen knife and repeatedly stabbed Holm.
Okay. But no mention of, I don't know. I took care of this woman that's threatening me, and I also killed her baby.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Fields' credibility wasn't great. He was a drug dealer with federal narcotics convictions and ties to Crips gang members in his hometown of Compton, California.
Whoa.
But his defense worked. In August of 95, he was convicted for killing Scott Holm as murder in the 2nd degree instead of the 1st. At this point, detectives couldn't rule out Holm, but now that he was dead, it was making it more difficult to find the truth.
Right.
All the while, all this time is going by, and Vianne is left with no answers. She is consumed by the murder of her daughter and her grandson. She had started out like calling the detectives every week and getting basically no information from them. And she sent them information that she thought might be relevant and then would hear nothing about a follow-up from them. And Vianne really got like the worst version of not being communicated with by the police. She would drive all the way to Renton to go talk to someone about the case, only to sit in the parking lot of the police station and cry and then turn around and go home without even going inside.
Oh, God. Fuck, man.
Yeah. Years went by and this case was going cold.
Mhm.
And then July of 2001, a tip came in that brought a new detective onto the case. The tip turned out to be bogus, some rumor of a jailhouse confession that wasn't true, but it did mean that a detective with fresh eyes was looking into the case again. And at this point, DNA science had come a long way, and some of the physical evidence collected in the case was sent off for DNA analysis. It would be more than a year later, because these labs were like super backed up, right?
Yeah.
That in September of 2002, that a call came into this new detective, Rick Cross, that a semen sample had been recovered from Stacy's oral swab. And when they ran it through the database, they got a hit.
But it's going to be one of these Holmes people, and they have exactly the same DNA, right?
Is that your final answer?
Well, you didn't say if they were fraternal or identical twins. Are they identical twins?
I think they're identical twins.
Okay, then yeah, they're going to have exactly the same DNA. And God, is that what happened?
The DNA sample came back for one Jerome Frank Jones.
Who the hell's that?
That's literally my next sentence.
What? What the fuck? Who is that?
Yeah, he was never on the detective's radar. I'm almost positive that's literally what Detective Cross said.
Oh
Who the
my
fuck is that?
gosh.
So they go looking into this guy. Jones had a long rap sheet for drugs and violence. He grew up near Compton, ran with the Crips, and in 1986, when he was 16, he copped his first felony for attempted robbery, and by 18 was serving time in prison for carjacking and shooting a man. At some point, he moved up to Washington State after being released from prison in 1993. Very soon after, he committed a felony in Washington that got him a conviction at the end of December of that same year. So Detective Cross goes looking for this guy and finds him serving a 56-year murder sentence in California.
Holy shit.
When Cross and a colleague flew down there to interview this guy, Jones said he didn't know who Stacy was. Didn't recognize her in the picture. The detective showed him. Never seen her. They didn't tell Jones that they had his DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Jones had lived in Kent between 94 and 95. And it turns out he lived in those apartments that Stacy had moved out of, where the babysitter lives.
Oh.
Jones liked to shoot pool in the community room, and a former resident recalled that Stacy had been seen hanging out at least once with Jones and his friends there. Another resident also told police that Jones kept a gun in his waistband. One of the apartment managers told police that Jones hung out with a dude named Clyde, whose apartment had a clear view of the area where Stacy parked her car when she would pick Jacob up from the babysitter.
Oh, that's spooky.
By April 2004, Detective Cross had all the evidence he thought he needed to submit a case to prosecutors.
Mm-hmm.
Except in July of 2004, Jeff Baird, the prosecutor, stated that he wanted state forensic scientists to do a reconstruction of the crime scene. In 94, investigators had meticulously documented the evidence at the scene, taking all necessary measurements by hand. A forensic scientist was supposed to draw upon that evidence to reconstruct the crime scene and lay out the likely sequence of events during the murders. But for whatever reason, that was never done.
Uh-oh.
And then this case just falls through the cracks.
What the fuck?
The forensic scientist assigned to the task went on vacation. Detective Cross moved on to other cases and then left detective work altogether to go back to patrolling. And then it just got bounced around and forgotten. Someone at the crime lab emailed Jeff Baird, the prosecutor, if he still had need for that reconstruction at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Basically saying like, sorry, I've been like, backlogged and this just got lost in the sauce and just seeing it again now. So wondering, did you still need that then?
This is a murder.
And then Jeff Barrett emailed that person back and said, "Oh, well, that case got reassigned to a different prosecutor, and forwarded it on to that new prosecutor. But that new prosecutor didn't respond to that forensic scientist for like a year and a half."
Oh my God. Come on, people.
And then the prosecutor, when they did respond, wanted more forensic work on the case evidence. Apparently, DNA from semen in Stacy's mouth and under her fingernails from Jones wasn't sufficient to this prosecutor. She wanted blood samples from the car, but the car was long gone. They'd been returned to the family and they got rid of it because it was like uncleanable. It was like bloodstained. By January of 2009, when the forensic scientist reached back out to the prosecutor with a bunch of questions, the response was, quote, "I am sorry to report that most of the cold case unit here has fallen to the budget axe. I have been reassigned to another unit."
Oh my God. Well, I'm trying to understand. Was this because DNA was so new that they didn't trust it? Like, why do they need this additional?
I think it's because semen in the mouth without evidence of sexual assault indicates that she might have just had like oral sex with this guy, and that didn't necessarily put him in the car.
I see.
By 2010, Vianne was just pissed because she was still under the impression that they were pinning it on Scott Holm without doing any real further investigating. And since he was dead, they didn't have to anymore. And that did not satisfy her because no one called her to tell her about the DNA hit for Jerome Jones.
This poor woman. What the fuck?
Yes.
Also, did anybody speak to if Jerome Jones matched the guy that she was seen with in 7-Eleven?
Well, they said that the footage was so grainy, you couldn't really tell anything about the person that was in 7-Eleven. I mean, do we even know if they were together? Who knows? We were talking about 1994 security footage.
Yeah, sure. Know? Okay. Mm-hmm.
It would be 9 years later, in March of 2019, that Vianne would receive a message from her brother that a Seattle Times reporter wanted to speak with her. She reluctantly agreed, and this is how she found out about Jerome James and that police had known who it likely was that killed Stacy and Jacob for 17 years and not charged this man.
Oh my God. And this is how she's finding out from a reporter?
Yes.
Oh God, this poor woman.
Yes. So I'm not going to go into all the infuriating reasons why, because none of them are good excuses. The Renton Police, the King County DA's office, the forensics lab, like every single one of them dropped the ball on this case multiple times. Mm-hmm. And all signs point to the investigative journalism of this Seattle Times reporter that interviewed Vianne and published all these details as being the public shaming all of them needed to finally do right by Stacy and Jacob and finish this case.
Good.
Vianne pressured prosecutors and launched a letter writing campaign to draw more attention to the case. Mm-hmm. In December of 2021, investigators learned that semen was detected on the jacket worn by Jacob that was a match for Jones.
Oh my God.
So now they've, I think, put him actually in the car with both of them with this evidence.
That's so dark that it's on the baby's jacket.
I know.
Oh, God.
In February of 2022, King County prosecutors charged Jerome James in the murders of Stacy Falcon-Dewey and her son, Jacob Dewey. In April of 2023, Jones was extradited from Kern Valley State Prison in California and booked into King County Jail. His arraignment was on May 9th of 2023, where he pled not guilty. His trial was scheduled for August 21st of 2023, but has yet to take place as far as I can tell.
Wow.
Either that or they worked out some plea and sent him back to California. I found nothing after May of 2023. Google gave me nothing. Vianne is about 78 years old and still waiting for closure on the murder of her daughter and her grandson, as far as I can tell. In an article about the charges back in February of 2022, Vianne is quoted as saying, "My kids, they're finally going to get justice. It's ridiculous it took this long. It's because of that article that I finally got results. I am 100% positive I would have never known about the DNA match. I would have been left in the dark until the day I died."
God, fuck. That's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. That is the story of the murder of Stacy Falcon-Dewey and Jacob Dewey.
God damn it.
And what's so wild about it is it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why?
I know. I'm curious. He followed her. He had been stalking her. He had his eye on her
He like convinced her to give him a ride
yeah.
for some reason. Like
Right. Right.
Like,
And to think that her mom was reluctant to talk to that journalist initially, it sounds like.
right.
Thank God she did.
Right.
But, oh my God. That's chilling.
I know.
Oh.
And that was like the TLDR. This article that this Seattle Times reporter wrote was like really good. I mean, the whole thing is infuriating. That's why I said, like, I'm not even going to go into all the details, because he went into all the details of like every step along the way where like this case was like the ball was just dropped, where the case was just forgotten, where it just got shuffled around and around and around. It ended up back with Jeff Barrett again at one point. And then when he fucking retired, and that box of evidence was still sitting in his office.
God. How? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Well, I'm going to keep my eye on that. Did you check the King County roster to see if he's still chilling in there?
I was going to, and I did not have a chance, but I was going to go look to see if he was still in there. I haven't checked.
Yeah. Oh God. What a piece of shit. Well, thanks for that. That was terrible.
You're so welcome, sister.
Oh, are you ready for some chaos?
Oh my God, bring it to me. Is this one going to be, is this a lighthearted romp?
I mean, ish. Yeah. Okay. So this is that weird fucking documentary that our other sister told us months ago that we needed to watch.
Okay.
And I did. And then my friend Celeste also sent me a message and was like, you have to do this case. So Michael and I watched this a while ago, but it needed to marinate for a minute, because I was like, whoa.
What did I just watch?
Yes. So I'm going to tell you about Mother God.
Okay.
And the Love Has Won cult.
Oh.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Amy Carlson was born November 30th, 1975, and grew up in Dallas in a middle-class family. She has two younger sisters, and her parents divorced when they were all pretty young kids, and they all lived with their dad for a while. But when their mom remarried, they all moved in with her and their new stepdad.
Okay.
Amy was a good student, and she sang in the high school choir. And as she became a teenager, she cycled through several bad relationships. Like, she had a real bad picker.
Okay. I mean,
yeah, same.
It happens to the best of us.
It happens. Yeah, same. And then she started drinking quite a bit. And her and her mom were butting heads during this time. By the time she was 30, she had 3 kids and had been married a few times. And she was working full-time as a manager at McDonald's.
Okay.
In 2006, at the age of 32, Amy had Thanksgiving dinner with her family. And when she left, she never came back. She left behind her husband and her 3 kids for a man she met online who called himself Father God.
Oh, no. Oh, no, Amy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in the months leading up to this, Amy had been spending a lot of time online looking up like holistic healings and like new age spiritual stuff, right? Which isn't, I mean, we all go through times of like, I need purpose,
seeking answers, what have you.
Yeah.
Right.
And her family noticed that she was starting to kind of explore these things, and she would sometimes like say things that were odd, but they didn't think that she would like up and leave.
Right.
And that she had become like fully indoctrinated and like lost her marbles, right?
Right.
So she goes and finds Father God. Father God kind of looks like Willie Nelson, and he's in Crestone, Colorado. And apparently Crestone is known for its natural beauty, and it attracts like a lot of people who are on a spiritual path because it's kind of like a mystical place.
Okay.
So Father introduces her to his people, and they're a small group that spreads their messages primarily on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And very shortly after moving to Creston, Amy cuts off contact with her entire family and her old life, everything. And her mom is only able to keep tabs on her by watching the YouTube channel of this group that she's in. I know. So Amy isn't with the Willie Nelson father for too long before she kicks him to the curb, and she has appointed herself as Mother God.
Oh.
And right. Uh-huh. And then she cycles through several different father gods over the years.
Okay.
And she forms her own group of followers, and they all call her mom.
Okay.
In 2018, her newest father god is Jason Costello. And she met him online, and he eventually moved to Creston to be with mom, but it took him a while because he had to finish his house arrest first.
Okay.
And the group all call themselves Love Has Won.
Mm-hmm.
And they find a rental house in Crestone where they all live together.
Great.
The home was in the Baca Grande region, which is sacred native land on the edge of the Sangre de Creston wilderness.
Okay.
And so this is also a very popular area for like spiritual freedom and practices. And it's said that the land will give you a higher level of peace.
Okay.
So the rental property was later purchased by one of the group members, Miguel Lamboy, also known as Archangel Michael.
Okay.
Okay. So along with Mother and Father God, there were anywhere from 12 to 20 people at a time in this trailer home. And Archangel Michael, he also establishes the Love Has Won nonprofit in 2020, and he's like the group's CFO.
Okay.
Okay. So they also purchased a cabin about an hour away, which is used as the first stop for new members while it's decided if they're worthy of living in the main home with mom.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like an in-betweeny spot.
Sure. It's a checkpoint.
It's a checkpoint. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So they accept donations for their nonprofit. They also sell herbal supplements and vitamins that they make themselves in their home.
Mm-hmm.
And they also provide etheric surgery sessions to remove sickness and negative energies. And these are surgeries that Mother does with her mind for a low price of $88.
I'm getting John of God vibes here.
What's John of God?
Oh,
does that one need to go on the list?
Probably. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. Well, so they do daily live streams to try and get new recruits. And sometimes they would be live streaming for hours, like just leaving the webcam up while they went about their daily lives. Okay. It's like the most bizarre real world ever.
Do they have a lot of subscribers? Like how many people are tuning into this?
I think at one point they had like 500 or something.
I mean, that's like 495 more than I would expect.
I know.
You know?
Yeah. So new recruits were coming in who had abandoned their careers and families and everything, right? And Amy really used the pandemic as leverage by promoting the Love Has Won group as a safe haven for people who were having a really hard time in isolation.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And people were told to surrender themselves to Mother God. So there's several rules for this group too. Okay. So here's some of the rules. Stare into the sun every day for light energy.
Stare into the sun?
Mm-hmm.
That is ill-advised.
Everything they're doing is ill-advised.
Like that will literally blind you. What
Correct.
are we doing?
You're getting light energy.
Holy shit.
Uh-huh. Wear the colors of the daily chakra and only eat foods in that color for the day. Okay. Men must pee while sitting down.
I mean, that's really just good practice all around because so many of them do not know how to aim.
I know. Agreed. And sleeping is very restricted,
In what way?
like maybe an hour or two a night.
Okay, now
Food
that's
was also
torture.
restricted. Yeah.
Oh, this is torture.
Mm-hmm. Once the new members were accepted into the home with Mother, they were allowed to hear the entire story of Mother God. And I'll tell it to you now.
After you have left your family and your whole life behind, sat in limbo in our checkpoint cabin for however long we make you wait. Then we let you into the house. Now we're going to tell you the whole story. This is this is like that Scientology bullshit where like they bring you in and then they wait until you reach the proper level before they tell you about, like the actual origins of whatever, you know what I mean? That's what we learn about.
I know.
And the aliens that like came here, and you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
Now that you've fully given us all of your money and your entire life and you've spent decades studying, we'll tell you the full truth about what you're actually about. What?
Well, I know. Well, you know what, Naomi? I'm not going to make you sit in a cabin checkpoint. I'm going to tell you the full story right now. This is a freebie. Oh, okay. I'm not even going to charge you the $88 for this etheric surgery that we're doing.
I'm assuming that we know these things from people who escaped.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So billions of years ago, the people of Atlantis stole.
Oh yeah. It's Atlantis. Of course.
Crystal technology from Lemuria. When they used this crystal technology, the Earth exploded, which was the Big Bang. But Mother God, who was a divine being who existed at a higher level of consciousness and therefore survived the Big Bang, made a plan to save the universe. She created Father God from her own heart, along with the Father of the multiverse, and the three together were the Holy Trinity.
Okay.
Mother God right. Birthed all of creation, and when the time is right, all of her followers will be released into the fifth dimension.
Oh, we've got a fifth dimension group here. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Mother God has been reincarnated on Earth 534 times, and right now, Amy is taking her for a spin.
Got it.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
Amy.
No Dana, only Zool. Understood. Right?
Correct. Amy says she has also been Jesus, Joan of Arc, Marilyn Monroe, Cleopatra, Pocahontas, Queen Elizabeth I, Harriet Tubman, Amelia Earhart, and she has a full memory of each of these lives. As Amy Carlson, she has survived over 500 assassination attempts.
Stop it. Oh my God. She's not well. I feel bad laughing. She's not well.
No. I'm still perplexed at how this, I wish there was more information about what she was doing in there on that computer and for how long. It's so, like, she just went fucking off the rails, like, instantly, it seems.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, her main group of followers are called the Galactic Federation of Light Team, and they all believe that she is God in the human flesh and that Amy Carlson is just like her vessel. Okay. So also in this group, free will is a sin and members must always do as Mother says. Because...
Oh, no. I mean, of course. This is high control, like this is a cult. This is... Okay.
Because Mother God is busy absorbing all of the negative energy from the planet so that her followers can transition to the fifth dimension. So she has no time for extra bullshit because she's already absorbing everything.
So busy.
She's making the ultimate sacrifice.
I get it.
And it's really hard on her body.
Right.
So new recruits were kept away from her in the checkpoint until they reached a high enough vibration.
Right.
Where because their negative energy cannot be in this house.
No, she does not have room for that. She does not hold space for that.
No.
Right.
And if someone was bringing negative energy into the house, they would be sent back to the cabin until they could get it together.
Sure. Time out. Back to the checkpoint. It's like Chutes and Ladders. You need to...
Chutes and ladders.
You climbed it, but now, nope, you got to go down that slide. Back 10 squares.
Yeah. So as they're live streaming everything, you can see and hear that Amy is very drunk and berating everybody constantly about their energy. In one clip, she loses her mind because one of the members brings her meatballs when she asked for chicken parmesan.
I'm sorry, she's just drunk all the time?
Wasted all the time. Mm-hmm.
What? How? Okay.
Yeah. And she oftentimes will refer to her followers as whores.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when Father God, house arrest Father God, comes on the scene, the abuse in the house gets worse. He encourages members to fight with each other. He says all kinds of racist shit. And mother and father are this like unhinged power couple.
Fun.
Yeah. So former members said that Amy drank all day long because it was organic and a natural painkiller. And she's not an alcoholic because it's all natural.
Holy shit. I mean, arsenic is natural. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh my God.
Alcohol is a poison.
Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, she is drinking a lot. A lot.
Okay.
So other family members of, loved ones who joined also kept tabs by watching these live streams. And more than once, family members had called the police and asked for a welfare check after watching the abuse online.
Mm-hmm.
So law enforcement would go to the home, but it was all adults who claimed they were just fine. So there wasn't anything they could do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. In May of 2020, a man named Alex, who lived in Mississippi, abandoned his partner and his kids to join Love Has Won.
Mm-hmm.
He was really conservative and had previously served in the military, and he was making a 6-figure salary. But when he lost his job during the pandemic, he fell into a depression and signed up for an etheric surgery session. Mm-hmm. He ended up spending $15,000 on these sessions at $88 a piece. It's not working.
Right. Exactly. I mean, at some point, that is a lot of sessions.
That's so many sessions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after 4 months of participating online, he moves to Colorado to live with this group. And his wife
wasn't working, Amber, because it was remote. He needed to be in her energy. He needed to be in the house.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So his wife, like other family members, was able to see him on the live stream the next day, but then she didn't see him again. And in the days following, she heard the other members talking about how the new recruit didn't work out because his energy wasn't right. Okay. So she's like, fuck, they're talking about Alex, right? So
where the fuck is he?
Mm-hmm. So she calls the Colorado police and a search party is formed. And Alex was found wandering the desert, naked and dehydrated and clearly on drugs. He had cactus needles stuck in him and his eyes were burnt from looking directly at the sun. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He was taken to the hospital, and even though his wife told the hospital staff not to discharge him because he was a danger to himself and others, he was discharged anyway. Oh my God. And he left wearing hospital scrubs, and a nurse found him sitting under a bridge.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this was in 2020, right?
Yeah. So this nurse checked him into a hotel and sat with him until his brother could come and get him. And when his brother got there, he said Alex was still not okay. Alex said that he believed he had completed his mission and had arrived at the 5th dimension.
Oh my God. This
Mm-hmm.
guy. Oh,
I know. He was brought home and he is still recovering to this day. He is slowly rebuilding his life, but I think he's still not quite well.
oh, brutal.
Yeah. By the end of the summer of 2020, Amy's starting to look really sick. She's incredibly thin and very weak. She's being carried everywhere by group members. So in August, the group rented a house in Hawaii, but their presence there was not welcome. Uh, Not only were they violating COVID-19 orders by traveling, but Hawaii is also sacred land and rich in spirituality and traditions. And they've, had enough white people come infringe on their land. So they don't appreciate Mother God being there.
Yeah, free Hawaii, you guys. Free Hawaii.
Yeah.
Hawaii is occupied. They are their own, they're their own country, and they would like to go back to being one.
Yeah. Then Amy claimed that she was the reincarnated god Pele, which is the Hawaiian goddess of fire and volcanoes.
Oh
And
my God.
they were like too far.
GTFO.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they protested outside of their house. They threw rocks through their windows. They were lighting fires in the lawn. Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they ran them out, and the group ended up moving to Mount Shasta, California. So they're living in an RV park. And at this point, it's April 2021, and Mother God is extremely ill. And members are saying it is because she was taking on all of the negative energy of the world. And this is also why
not because she was drinking every day, all day for years. Okay.
No. It's the energy. And it's also why she's so angry, because she's making the ultimate sacrifice for everyone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, you know how moms are. Moms are always sacrificing themselves for everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Amy is heard on camera at one time asking her followers, actually more than once, to take her to the hospital, but they refused.
Whoa, what?
Mm-hmm. It's like she had these moments of being lucid where she was Amy. And I can't tell if she... We'll circle back to that because I just think it's fascinating. But so they're telling her it's all just a part of the essential process. Once she goes on to the fifth dimension, they would go next. Father God is her primary caregiver, and he continued to make sure that she had alcohol all day. And at this time, Amy was taking colloidal silver that the group had made themselves, and they were advertising it as a cure for COVID.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On April 16th, 2021, a photo was posted of Father God holding Mother God. And in this photo, Amy is extremely thin. Her hair has fallen out and her skin is blue from all of the silver.
My God. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when Amy's mom saw this photo, she called local authorities, and police and EMTs were sent to the trailer, but their members refused to let them in and refused to provide any details about Amy. Yeah. Then, April 28th, 2021, Miguel Lamboy, aka Archangel Michael, who's the owner of the house, he calls authorities, and he said that he had been away for a while, and when he came home, he found Amy's body. So the police get there, they go inside, they found a mummified body in a makeshift shrine. The eyes are missing, and there was glitter put into the eye sockets, and she was wrapped in Christmas lights.
What? That is a horror show. That is a horror show.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas lights? And glitter.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they believe that it is Amy, but the body was so decomposed that they couldn't positively identify her. So Amy's mom, Linda, sent a sample of her DNA, and they were able to positively identify her as Amy Carlson. The coroner estimated that she had been dead for around 4 weeks and that she was likely dead in that photo with Father God.
Oh my God. That is
Mhm.
dark.
Yeah. So they were in Mount Shasta, California. The group had put her in the car and left Mount Shasta with her corpse and returned to the trailer in Colorado and continued to live with Amy dead in the back room.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But they
They
didn't move on to the fifth dimension. So
they were waiting. Yeah, they were still waiting.
oh my God.
Mom had moved on. They were waiting. They found dangerous amounts of colloidal silver in her system, which can cause seizures and organ failure. 7 members of the group were arrested, including Father God. 4 were charged with tampering with a corpse and 3 for abuse of a corpse, along with child abuse, as there were 2 children in the house with the dead body.
Oh my God.
After Archangel Michael made the report, he fled and all the money for the group was gone too.
This guy. Peace. Gotta go. Bye.
At the time that Amy died, there were a total of 29 members, and they all celebrated when Amy passed because she had ascended.
Sure.
It is believed that Father God and one of the other leaders are still doing videos and still spreading the teachings of Mother God. Don't know why they didn't go to the fifth dimension, but they didn't.
I'm speechless.
It was the weirdest thing. She is blue.
That is horrifying.
Yeah. I don't understand how she went so far.
Like how quickly that happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, sister.
Yeah. Another one on the books.
We did that. Oh my God. Oh. Well, you guys, when this drops, we will have another bonus episode already out by then, because that's coming this week. So if you want to hear our bonus content, go sign up for the Chaos Kids Club at patreon.com/crime, wine, and chaos. $5 a month gets you a bonus episode every month. We do virtual wine nights every time we get 10 new members. And we also drop our regular weekly episodes a day early for our club members. So get in on that action.
Get in on that. Go on your Apple listening device and give us, or podcast listening device, preferably Apple. Give us a review. Write us a review. We love reviews. We love emails.
Love a written review. We love emails. Send us email. We love it.
We love it. We love it. Love it. Well, sister, we are Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. Oh, X. Sorry. Yeah. That's all right.
Wow. Well, yeah, sis, that was
chaotic. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Crime, Wine, and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at Crime, Wine, and Chaos /Patreon. Cheers.
Lyerl. Leyerle. Layeral. I don't know how to say his last name. Bob.